Today on Job Talks, learn from a vice president of marketing on how we unravel the significance of A B testing. This can help shape effective strategies for influencer campaigns and digital ads. This episode will illuminate how meticulous testing can elevate your marketing endeavors, from crafting compelling copy to optimizing visual elements for your brand. Welcome to Drop Talks, the podcast where we drop knowledge and insights from the world of influencer marketing. In each episode, we'll interview influencers and marketers to learn about their experiences, strategies, and insights that can help elevate your game. I'm your host, Kelsey, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this journey. In today's episode, we have a special guest who has made a splash in the digital marketing world, David Ball. David is the Vice President of Marketing at ApexDrop. He's an experienced sales and marketing leader with over 20 years of expertise in driving growth and revenue. Dave, how are you today?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to have you. So, Dave, can you provide us a little bit of, before we dive totally into the world of influencer marketing, just give me a bit of an overview on kind of ApexDrop approach to influencer marketing?
Sure. So ApexDrop is a little bit different than the rest of the influencer agencies or platforms that you see out there. And I think that influencer marketing in general gets this, it's a very big umbrella. And so what ApexDrop does is we've got a private network of nano and micro influencers, and we really focus on authenticity, meaning we want to make sure that we are getting the products in the hands of influencers that actually want those products. So you're not just paying somebody to like your product, you're actually getting the products into people that might have bought it anyways, could have bought it anyways, but they want the product. So when they want the product, they get it. The content that comes out of that is way more authentic than just paying somebody to post about something.
Brilliant. I imagine you get a lot of great content that comes out of those as well.
Content is amazing. Really, we've got really creative everyday people, and they happen to have a following on Instagram or TikTok or wherever their following happens to be. But they're super creative, and you get the products into their hands, and it's amazing what they do with it.
Mm-hmm. And now, when you're talking about products, part of ApexDrop utilizes A/B testing, correct?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about how that works to improve, your own marketing from ApexDrop's perspective.
Yeah, so you need to be testing everything. We test our website for conversions. We test our ads. We test our email. I'll give you an example of something that we're testing right now. So when you're testing your website, you typically are going to test your headlines. You're going to test the creative, but we're actually in the middle of doing an A/B split test that is testing copy, and it's a one-word change. And that one word is everyday people and micro influencers. And we really wanted to see if that would make any impact at all to our conversion rates. And it's actually pretty amazing. The test isn't over yet. It's not statistically significant. But right now, everyday people is crushing micro influencers. So it's pretty amazing what you can find out when you're running these A/B split tests.
That's so interesting. So why is A/B testing important for consumer product marketers?
So every marketer, or at least any really good marketer, if you've got a consumer product, you know your persona, you know your ICP, you know who you're selling to. And I think that everybody does a really good job at that. But what you don't necessarily know is what type of creative is going to resonate with them and have a behavioral response. And so that's what you really want is you want to find out what creative, what piece of content, what image, what video is really going to resonate with your ICP / persona and get them to do something. Because if you can get them to do something, that's half the battle. So, you can test multiple areas. You test your ads, you test your website, which is probably the most important. I think that if you're doing email marketing, you should have been running A/B split tests for years. I think that, that's one of the things where like every ESP has it built in. So that's just scratching the surface. Because if you've got that traffic and you can add a 1% increase to your conversion rate. I mean, that's depending on how much traffic you have, that's a lot. It's a huge increase.
Yeah, absolutely. A very significant number that can, be affected by that. So, Apex Drop works with a ton of consumer product brands, and you certainly gave a great reason, why it's important. Talk to me about how else that they use A/B testing for influencer generated content.
Yeah. So here's what we see our customers doing where it's the most effective, and that is taking the influencer generated content. It looks like user generated content. It looks like if I've got a book that I love and I go and I tell my audience about this book that I love, that's the type of content. It's almost like a testimonial, but it's more like it's more authentic, right? So it's just people sharing what they love. And so when you take that piece of content and you run it in an A/B test, and you're running it in your ads versus just your branded, regular old content ad, and you're running that on your website, where instead of just having product shots, you've actually have real people using your products, you tend to see a pretty big uptick in conversions. And that's really where ApexDrop is special, because you get a ton of user generated content that you get the license to, that you can use wherever you want. And will every single time will the content beat out the branded content? Maybe not. There may be one or two times where the branded content wins, and that's okay. But it's super effective, especially in your retargeting campaigns where you need a ton of content. You don't want people seeing the same ad over and over. They just get annoyed. But if you're serving up content where you've got real people using the product, and you happen to have a call to action on that, and you've got 100 different pieces to test, you're going to see really good results.
Mm-hmm. So kind of what I heard from that was you've got that user generated, you've got, authentic of content from kind of like Apex Drop, everyday people, right? So I think that those are, three important kind of takeaways that I just heard from you. So, when you're talking about your clients specifically, what A/B tests do your influencer marketing campaign clients run?
So they're running it at the ad level. And when you're looking at ads, I mean, really you want to optimize and test for whatever your conversion objective is. And in our case, that's going to be a product purchase. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing for that, and you're looking, okay, what piece of ad creative drove the most traffic? You can look at vanity metrics, you can look at click-through rates, you can look at your view-through rate, and those matter. I mean, those are leading indicators sometimes, but really ultimately what you want is you want a conversion out of it. And then what we're seeing is a lot of our customers are A/B testing those same creative on the product detail page, and that product detail page is really, really, really important in your customer journey. And so when you're testing the content on that page, you're looking at your add to cart rate, like that's a leading indicator. You're looking at, overall, you want to see, okay, am I getting more purchases based on having this user generated content there?
It's also too so important that the data doesn't lie, right? Like you
Yeah.
can say like, from your perspective, one thing, you're like, oh, A's going to do great. But when you bring it to, one of your clients, I imagine, and you're just saying like, B absolutely crushed it out of the water. It's one of those things you really can't deny it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've run probably thousands of A/B split tests in my career, and you get pretty good at predicting. Like, I think this is going to win. One of the games I like to play with the team is, okay, which one of these pieces is going to win, and everybody has to make a guess, and then I go last. And I can tell you that even though I've done a lot, I'm still wrong, and it's amazing what will actually resonate with the audience versus what you think is going to resonate.
I think that's really interesting. And, I'm curious, kind of talking about the rise of social media, how are consumer brands using social media platforms to engage with their audience and drive sales?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there's so much out there, and I think that one of the things that we're seeing at the broader level is this merging of social, e-commerce, and influencer marketing and all kind of colliding into one. And so, it's really important to get your products out there, but you don't want to be selling your products. People don't like being sold. People are really good at figuring out, is this just an affiliate deal? Is this person really, do they care? Do they love this product? Or are they being paid? And so, it's like social is an opportunity to connect with your buyers. And if you use social to connect with your buyers, that's where we're seeing the most brands win.
Mhm. Do you think that that's, a significant shift from people, like generations wanting to be sold and generations not wanting to be sold to?
I think probably in history, nobody ever wants to be sold. I just think that I think that what ends up happening is one sales strategy or technique will work. Everybody jumps on it, and then the market gets mad, and because they can see right through it and they get tired of it, and then somebody figures something else out, and then everybody else jumps and, oh, we have to do this, and then it's like you really, I think, uh, one of the things that Zach, who's the CEO of ApexDrop, says is we create art, not ads. And it's really powerful when you have that authentic voice that is sincere, and they really love the product that they're talking about.
I think that's fantastic. So, talking about specific assistance or guidance from your perspective, what would you offer to help clients achieve their desired outcomes when it comes to looking for help from ApexDrop?
Yeah, I mean, really, so it's funny because, again, we go back to this big influencer marketing umbrella, and influencer marketing is just like one small piece of what we do. When I explain ApexDrop to my friends, I tell them this: like, we're not Mr. Beast. Like, we're not a huge influencer that is going to drive 10,000 people to the new restaurant opening. And in theory, right? So I publish children's books, and kind of a hobby of mine. In theory, I could go out and I can find 5 to 10 influencers to send my books to, and to have them, post about it. But if I wanted to have 100 or 200, now that's going to take a full-time person to do that. Like, the benefit one is scale. Benefit two is the content. So even if I reached out and I had 5 to 10 people to do a book campaign with me, I'm going to have to negotiate those licensing rights with them. And it's like, maybe if they're doing it as a favor to me, or, if they like my books, they may say I can use it, but it gets a little wonky from, you just want to be sure. So that's, to me, when I tell my friends, like, what's the value in ApexDrop? Yeah, it's great that you've got millions of followers over here, right? You've got that reach. That's great. And that's the influencer marketing, the influencer part of it, right? Like, I have a following, but truly the value is the ability to scale, and then that content. And that content is what we take and we run all the A/B split tests with. And that content is super, super valuable.
Mm. And going to, back to the A/B testing, like you said, what would you say the most valuable lesson you've learned about, the A/B testing? It sounds like, personally you've learned, lessons about influencer marketing. Talk to me a little bit about some valuable lessons that you've learned.
Well, one is, you never know what's going to win. You just don't. You think you know what's going to win, and then something else will win. Two is, you always need to be testing. Like, everything can be optimized. I mean, there's studies out there that changing the color of a button from green to blue will increase the conversion rate. Using one word, again, the one word test that we're doing in our copy right now, we're legitimately seeing a 1% increase in conversions. And so if you're not testing, you're really missing out on potential conversions. Like, and you really just don't know what there is. Like, you don't know how far you can push your website or your email or your ads unless you're constantly trying new things.
I think those are two really great, little stories, success stories of, like you said, the small word of just changing it from micro influencers to everyday people, the color of the button. Are there any other noteworthy success stories or even challenges that illustrate the impact of effective testing and optimization?
Yeah, I think that, one of the big things that I've seen is really your call to actions, testing your call to actions, aligning your ad creative with your website creative is really important as well. Like if you've got one message and you're out there testing all kinds of messages, and then you drive somebody to a page that's just plain and vanilla, and then you're like, I can't believe that I'm getting a 20% click-through rate, but then nobody's buying. Well, you're not sending bad traffic. It's probably because people are confused. They're not, it's the second you get to a website, you need to feel like you're in the right place. And so just making sure that those two are aligned are really important.
Are there any other particular strategies or elements that consistently yield positive results in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say one of the strategies that I've used for years is retargeting with testimonials. I mean, customer testimonials, whether you don't really want them to be scripted, you want them to be authentic, but the customers' testimonials talking about a transformational story about their experience with your business or your product, or any kind of story that highlights a feature or a benefit that really helped your customer. So when you retarget, or the user generated content, and you really kind of get these testimonials, especially in video form of people talking about your product when you use ApexDrop, it's not a testimonial, but it's kind of like it. And so when you get those and you're able to put those into your retargeting campaigns, again, that is a super effective strategy, because you're serving up 10, 20, 50 different pieces of content where you're not annoying the heck out of people with your retargeting, because they're at least seeing a different perspective.
And I think it's great too that not only is Apex Drop doing everything for their own brand to help help their conversions, but also too you're encouraging all of your clients to do the exact same things that you've been learning from Apex Drops is marketing strategies as well.
Yeah, and I think I mean, Apex Drop is a part of your marketing mix, right? You wouldn't want to go and invest all your marketing dollars into content. You need to do something with that content. And so we if you're running Google ads, like, they're pushing everybody to Performance Max. Well, Performance Max is basically just a set of creative. And so you upload the creative and you let Google's machine learning go and figure everything out. Well, so what's important in that equation? The creative. So if you don't have good creative, it's not going to work for you.
hmm And you made an interesting point there that I want to really kind of dive into a little bit more, is talking about like common mistakes that people make is putting kind of all of their efforts behind one backing. So I'm curious, kind of another interesting question: what are the biggest mistakes that you see consumer brands making with their product detail pages, or
Oh,
just in general?
no. So in general, we'll come back to product detail pages, but
Yeah.
in general, the biggest mistake I see is thinking that you're going to be able to use attribution on your influencer marketing efforts, just like you're used to seeing in Facebook ads or seeing in Google ads. It just doesn't happen. Um, First of all, unless you're doing an ad in Instagram, you're not going to be able to just have a call to action and a button. If you make it into an ad, you can, but people see it. And then they're typically, this is what I do. If I see something I like, I go to Google, I search it, I click on it, and I go there. I know it's safe. I know I'm not going to be retargeted because I know how the tech works. And so when people are looking at their influencer marketing and they're saying, they're in Google Analytics and they're like, I'm not getting any traffic from Instagram, this is not working. Well, you know, it's not direct response. And what you'll see is an increase in your organic search results. You'll see an increase in your direct traffic. And so it's, like I said, influencer marketing is an umbrella that should supplement those other capturing demand. Google search captures the demand. Facebook, you're out there trying to create the demand. But the influencer marketing, to me, is you'll get an initial kind of push as the influencers are posting. You'll get a push, and the followers will see it, and you'll see a small uptick. But really, what it's all about is putting it into your marketing mix as a whole.
Now let's dive a little bit deeper. Let's get a little more specific. Talk to me about the mistakes with product detail pages.
Yeah. So just having product shots does, I mean, it works because there's tons of websites out there that have it. So I know it works. I know there's some limitations in certain platforms, such as, Shopify. You have to have this product shot here because it has to be the very first thing in order to have it be in a feed that goes to Google. But a huge mistake is not putting the user generated content on that page. If you cannot put it as your primary image, okay, well, let's at least have it as a secondary image, and let's have some diversity on the page. Even if your persona, just having one type of person on the page, I think that you're really missing out. Like, a lot of people can use your product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's, I'm thinking to all the I'm not thinking of all the ads that I've been targeted with and all the different products that I see all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, I really enjoy when I'm clicking through things and I see, I'm hung up on everyday people compared to my influencer. That really threw me for a loop. I love when I see, everyday people using the product, engaging with the product in a very natural way. That's not, looks as if it was created in the studio.
Right. Exactly. And it performs better too. I mean, again, it's not a 100%, like, I can't 100% guarantee it, but I can say with 90% confidence, it's going to perform better than whatever branded staged content that you can have.
Interesting. That's fantastic. Really interesting insights, David. I really appreciate that. So, as we start to wrap up, do you have any predictions on what the future of influencer marketing is going to look like?
Oh, that's a great question. Predictions. Well, so I mentioned earlier that e-commerce, influencer marketing, and social are all kind of merging. I think that's going to continue to happen. And I think rapidly. If you look at TikTok in China, there's a lot of e-commerce transactions that happen directly on the platform. It's not quite as popular in the US yet, but I think it will be. I think that you'll continue to see influencers that will specialize and niche down, because you have to. And then I think AI is going to disrupt influencer marketing a little bit. Not only with the deep fakes being influencers that we're kind of already seeing, some companies have had success doing that, but I think AI is going to actually get really good at looking at all your content and being able to tell you which ones resonate the most, or will cause those behavior, it will cause the people to have some sort of behavioral reaction. And I think that those are the things. And then, I know this ties back to ApexDrop, but really the most important thing is going to be authenticity. I think that the more people are seeing, the more brands are using influencers. If you're paying somebody, if you're not transparent about it, that's kind of ick. And so the authenticity of making sure that you're connecting with influencers or everyday people that really like your product and they would use it in real life.
Mm-hmm. And, going back to that authenticity and also building trust as well, because if I see someone that I know and trust using ApexDrop or using a product that I do that they support, whatever, I'm automatically like, well, I trust you, therefore I trust you. And it just builds that credibility and trust, I imagine, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, David, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate all of your insights on A/B testing. I think you gave really practical, great advice for, how people can utilize it, leverage it. I really appreciate you being on Drop Talks today.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you.